Welcome to Brains, Bibles, and Beyond, where we discuss theology and worldview apologetics. I'm Nate Day with Think Like Christ Ministries, and I'm here with our resident theologian Joel Willoughby with Brains and Bibles.
If you would like more information about our ministries, check out our websites, brainsandbibles.com and thinklikechrist.org. And on whatever platform you are using, please like, share, subscribe, do whatever else you know you should do to help us out.
If you have any questions, send them to podcast@thinklikechrist.org.
And all you budding theologians out there, go grab your favorite theological coffee receptacle and enjoy this episode.
Hey everybody, we are back once again, and today we are going to take a look at Beauty Demands a Creator. Now, Joel, last time, as we were starting to wrap up, you started to mention beauty and things and discussing how animals demand a creator, but specifically in as far as reproduction goes. And you started to mention beauty, and basically like boys and girls have to like each other, and that's how we have more animals, right? I mean,
Right.
You started to get that way. We kind of ended it because that was going to be basically our next topic. So maybe let's kind of start rolling on that a little bit. What do you mean by all this? So
Well, what's interesting.
wait. First of all,
Okay, good.
what's beauty?
Okay.
Let's start with just defining what do you mean by beauty?
There's a famous phrase, beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
Yes.
The idea of that phrase is to say we don't all agree on what is beautiful,
That is very true.
but 100% of us find things or people beautiful.
Yes.
And that's interesting. And so, yeah, it is different within, maybe even whole cultures, and then even then on individual levels of what is beautiful. And that's just humanity. You look at animals, I mean, it's completely different things.
Yeah.
There's animals out there that are just butt ugly.
Yeah,
Like,
I would,
no matter how
I
you
would
look-
not call them beauty. So it may not necessarily be beauty as in what we think beauty, but as in like more of an attraction then, right? There's different things are attractive
That's
to
the core
us.
idea. Yeah. So here's the beautiful thing about
All right.
it. Because it is attraction. It's all about attraction. We use words like desire, things like that.
Sure.
The object of our attraction, what we're attracted to, the object of our desire, what we are desiring, that is the thing that we would call beautiful. Now, beautiful does not necessarily mean sexually attractive. Okay?
Yeah, correct.
That's one piece
That's
of
one
it.
piece of it, sure.
Yeah, but how many times have you seen a sunrise or sunset and you go, that is beautiful,
Lots of times actually.
Yeah, it's pretty that's I think universal.
Sure.
Actually, that one.
Most people appreciate it.
I would say so. Even like mountains. I mean, they're just rocks. Like the sun is color, right? With rocks, there's like a majesty, right? It's beautiful. It's just so big, and it's hard to describe because it is.
A nice full moon
Yeah.
on a clear sky. Even my dog appreciates it. He'll run up on the hill and bark at the moon. Because it looks cool or it's interesting to him or whatever. There's
something going on
There's
there.
something about it. The coyotes are off in the distance howling. My dog's barking. There's something about the full moon. I mean, they like it.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Maybe they're just confused. But either way, there's something that attracts them to it.
Well, you can go down so many paths with this. I mean, why is it that certain music can make you cry? There's an emotional response. There's a beauty in that.
So you're not talking about bad music. I've heard music that made me cry more than one way.
If I played music, it would make anybody cry, but they wouldn't want more of it.
Cringe, maybe cry.
There's always that.
Yeah.
There's you start going, like, you really start thinking about it. All the things that at least someone could call beautiful, and that's a long list. So let's bring it back to the animal kingdom, because that's kind of where we were last time.
Yeah, we're talking about animals.
Right. So you look at something like, deer, all right? And you have these bucks that are like slamming into each other and stuff and just
Yeah.
trying to tear each other apart. Why are they doing that? You know,
To impress the ladies.
right. Now,
Everybody knows this.
a part of it's territorial, right? But there's another part that's they're
The
impressing.
ladies come with the territory.
Yeah, exactly,
Right.
exactly. You have all sorts of animals that do this where they'll just totally try to destroy each other, and right in front of the females.
Yeah.
And you know, there's some people that do that too. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
true.
exactly. But then that's not true for every single kind of animal.
No.
That there's other. I think of
Different
birds.
ones impress each other differently.
Right. Well, you know, even like the tropical birds, right? Especially, and then well, you don't have to go there. The birds around where we live,
Yeah.
here, you know, Iowa
Pheasants.
and stuff.
The males are pretty and the females aren't.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, they're just drab and plain.
It
no
sounds
color.
it sounds dangerous to say those words. You know, being in my human environment,
Yeah.
I
Some
you know,
ugly chicks.
you don't want to say. That's like you're asking
You
for
don't say
death.
that.
But it is true that in the bird population, the males are more colorful.
But even in that, I mean, to me, that's a perfect example of design because the hens have to sit in the nest and hide from predators. So the hen pheasant being brown, matching brown grass, is a wonderful thing.
Yes,
Right.
Absolutely, it is. That goes into a whole other.
If
yeah.
a bunch of the roosters get killed off, doesn't matter a whole lot.
You know, we could since you were. Let's take a little bit of just a tangent, just for a second. That you think about because like colors and stuff. So it's along the same
Yeah.
lines, but a lot of times in nature, the really colorful things,
Get eaten.
well, are the venomous ones. Like a blue ringed octopus, or like those weird venomous snakes you see like in South America or India or something that just kill you in one bite. You know, you take 2 steps, you're dead. If I would have prepared more, I would have told you the names of them. But but you can just go on like National Geographic or something.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, you see these super colorful
We've heard
stuff.
of them.
Yeah.
Australia, everything will
It's
kill
out.
you.
These beautiful things. I haven't heard about in it was along the Congo. It was a famous story actually. I think of a missionary. I think it was a man and a woman missionary, and they were going down the Congo. This is way back in the day, and I think they were Irish, perhaps. I'm just trying. I just a little foggy. It's just coming to me right now. But I remember something in the story where this lady leans down, and she goes to grab this flower, and it turns out it was a spider, and the spider was so colorful, and that's its camouflage. That's the camouflage. It looked like
Looks
a
like
flower. And so she reached down and it bit her. She ended up dying. Maybe I'm fogging on some details, but that was the main part of the story. The part that's
That
important
was
there
uplifting.
is you have these attractive things, you know.
Yeah,
They're attractive things, and it's amazing how like these things that are bright and stand out. A lot, not always, but a lot of times they'll kill you. That's an interesting idea. It's like there's this warning system. If you know, you would think with evolutionary processes that you would want to not make it known that you can kill everything that you see. You'd be like, "It's my little secret. I'll just kill at will." You know, but they all know to stay away. Like, "Oh, that's a bad thing over there." You know. Anyways, let's go back to attraction and beauty, though. Okay.
Okay.
So you have these birds, for example. The guy is decked out in color,
Yeah.
and he's flapping,
He's
strutting.
strutting.
Yeah, strutting's the word, right?
Strutting's the word.
Strutting, you know.
Especially with birds. They like to strut.
You know those turkeys, right? You think
Turkeys.
I think about turkey.
They go on their strut dance. It's kind of funny. They get out there and they're fluffing up their wings.
Oh, yeah.
And, man, they really get going. It's kind of fun.
Sometimes
It's
I do
really
something like
fun
that,
when there's a couple of them when they start fighting. Turkey fights are hilarious to watch in the wild.
You know what? I've never actually seen one.
I'll
have to look that up
It
later.
is entertaining. I mean, they put on a show.
One time I chased some turkeys. I know I'm a city boy. I've never gone hunting or anything. But one time I was out in this remote area. Long story. I'm not gonna explain it. And with a couple other guys, we're doing. It was all on the up and up. It was a good thing. But I was out there, and I never at that time in my life. This is a long time ago. I had never seen like wild turkeys. You know, city boy. Okay.
Okay.
And I'm thinking of like these big things you eat. You know,
Sure.
these big dumb. You know, raw, they're overstuffed and everything.
Yeah, that's turkey.
So I said, I gotta chase these things. So I just like ran out of the car. I just jumped out. I was in the back seat. I just jumped out And I was like, I was a little better shape back then, anyways. So I just started running. And I was like, I wonder if I could just like get close enough to touch one of these, grab one of these turkeys, And they were so fast.
Yeah.
I did not know at the time how fast a wild turkey is and how good at camouflage they are.
It's really they call them wild.
They are wild, and they flew. They like in like a split second. They ran, flew, and I never found them again.
Now at the same time, they're
crazy.
one of the dumbest creatures on earth. I mean, I have personally witnessed many times turkeys unable to cross a fence.
Interesting.
4 foot tall, 3 foot tall. They can fly. Doesn't really matter. They'll walk up and down a fence for days looking for a hole instead of just hopping over.
That's interesting. That sounds like sheep or something there. I've heard of that with sheep, but
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. Anyways,
Anyway.
a little off topic, but it's kind of fun. All right. So I kept trying to make a point. I kept getting myself distracted too, but I'll solve it real short now. Birds, color, that's the attraction.
Sure.
The idea is, with the evolutionary standpoint, why would that actually be an attractive feature? Because that does not help you survive. In fact, you would think that...
The color doesn't.
Right.
The fighting part would make sense.
But the color.
The color part, that wouldn't, because you'd be eaten.
Exactly.
Or you would give away that you want to eat.
You'd be more noticeable, right? And so why would that be an attractive feature for your offspring, if that was the only interest, is having this superior offspring? And even then, why is that a desire? It comes back to one word: instinct, right?
Yeah.
They talk about instinct, but instinct isn't the answer to everything. I mean, it is and it isn't.
Yeah.
It is.
How did they get the instinct?
That's the problem.
What put that instinct in them? Does instinct evolve? How would it? By the time they'd all die before they had evolved the instinct.
Right. To have the first reproductive generation or whatever, okay, which it has to be the first generation, then you have to have everything in place, fully functional, nothing to evolve, because that would destroy the whole thing. You'd be done. You'd never have life. So there had to be somehow tons of information, and not just information, but being able to be read and processed and understood and carried out. You think about how complex DNA is and stuff. That's another talk. And but it's all these things at once. How does that happen? But this is my key point, though, because I think we're going to run off in all these directions. The key point I want to make: beauty demands a creator. The idea is this: every single living thing has some sort of attraction to something that it would call beautiful or identify as beautiful. And so there's all this going on. How is it so universal? There must have been some kind of common source.
Yeah, you would think that if everything evolved and took different paths, that it wouldn't be universal, right?
Yeah.
Because it's universal, there has to be a common thing for all of them, which evolution does kind of teach that. The problem is it doesn't work unless you already have it.
I think more and more, even evolutionists are tipping their hat at least towards intelligent design. They might call it alien life or something.
Sure.
But the idea is that there had to be something superior out there with intelligence, will, and ability that was already alive that started everything.
Yeah.
And so you can only have that happen so many times, because what about their civilization? And so ultimately there had to be something that never had a beginning. With intelligence, will, and ability. There had to be an attraction to have reproduction. Beauty demands a creator. It's pretty awesome. But not just reproduction, like I said, though, the sunrise, the mountains, the music, all these things. Why, what evolutionary benefit would there have been ever for that to happen? Ever. That doesn't make any sense. There's something, and I'll tell you what it is. Obviously, we bear the image of God. God created us, human beings, in his image. So in other words, we are a reflection of him. A dim reflection, but we are a reflection of him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so you think about like his attributes is what I would say the image of God is. The word image is the same word for like idol. So, just like you would make something that's a representation of something, we were that representation of him. You think about before sin, Adam and Eve, superior genetics. Back then, Adam and Eve together being the image of God, he made them male and female, so they're kind of two halves making a whole. And so you have this beautiful picture of who he is in this lesser sense, like the moon reflects the sun's glory.
Yeah.
So it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it demands a creator.
And it demands a creator. So what do we say then to someone who, I guess, just doesn't believe that? To say, to me, it's proof that it's just instinct, and that it's proof of evolution. That because all animals have this instinct, it's proof that all of them have a common ancestor that we've all evolved from.
Right.
And what do we say to that then?
I think
How do we effectively articulate this point in a way that is understood by everyone else?
Well, as I often say, it's not a lack of evidence. It's not a lack of evidence that people don't believe. That's not the issue, usually. Sometimes God can use evidence to trigger something in someone's heart, that's not really the thing. And so what I like to do is put it out there, because you never know who it's going to resonate with, and it might lead to something deeper. Mm-hmm. But I would just keep repeating things like this until something clicks, and it may never click for somebody, but that's not our business. We just share. But I would say, even if you were to say, I think evolution can explain all these things. Yeah, I think that the nuts and bolts of that is simply what people end up doing is they personify evolution. They give evolution this intelligence, will, and ability, and almost divine attributes, because it's everywhere at once. It's working with all things at once. It's never tired, and it chooses things. It makes decisions for what it deems to be good. Well, what even is good? Mm-hmm. So you have all sorts of issues
for good? Sure.
that keep coming up. And so it doesn't actually create less problems. If anything, it creates more problems.
Yeah, and then the fact is also, we discussed in our last episode and a little bit here too. For these things to evolve, everything would have died before they evolved, because if instinct takes time to evolve, everything would die off before it had the instinct evolved, right? Like it doesn't quite make sense. So something had to have happened where a whole bunch of them rapidly became available.
Yeah.
Versus, and a lot of evolutionists also believe that, like, and they have different terms for it and stuff. They look at the facts and say, well, we don't know what it was, but something happened, right?
Happened.
Something happened.
Even if you have the idea, like,
because something had to have happened.
Right. Even if you have the idea, like, it didn't get eaten, but it saw something get eaten, it still has to have the ability to learn, to process that, to pass on that information. And, and let alone all the things like we already mentioned, survival, reproduction, and, just coming to existence alone. And then you think to yourself, well, why did it learn to eat something and I didn't? And how did it suddenly have that completely different digestive processes and desire? Why did it have that different attraction? Why did it grow sharp teeth and I grew flat teeth? Yeah. Like these things don't make sense. Some things start standing up and walking on two legs, and a bunch of other stuff said, I think 4 legs is better.
And some just didn't have any legs.
You have things like a worm. Why, a lot of times I've heard evolutionists would say that ultimately we came from a type of worm. And that seems to be a common ground right now. And you think, well, why did it stop evolving? All these things that we see that supposedly, things came from, why is it still here? If it knew that it was superior and it needed to do it, it's evolution, this is good, then why didn't a whole bunch of things do it? It doesn't make any sense. There's just illogical inconsistencies everywhere. But if you choose not to believe in Jesus Christ, you'll believe anything else.
That's true.
Yeah.
So, all right, I think we're gonna probably wrap it up here. Anything else we need to say about beauty?
Well, Brains, Bibles, and Beyond is so beautiful. You should like it, share it, and interact in the comments.
All right, so just one last recap in a nutshell. Why does beauty demand a creator?
Because there's no evolutionary basis for attraction. That's the simplest way to put it.
because of that, it had to be instilled into us by a creator.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense to me.
All right.
Hopefully it does to everyone else. All right. Well, that's it for today. And you guys all have a good day.
Indeed.